Xbox has had a very strong 2024, and 2025 really is shaping up to be another fantastic year for Xbox Game Pass subscribers. Today, we'll be going through every single Xbox Game Pass game which has been confirmed to be arriving in 2025. There are certainly going to be many more games announced over the coming months, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all things Xbox. With that out of the way, my name is Fletcher, this is Xbox Nation, and in no particular order, let's dive right in. First up, Remedy Entertainment is back, but this time they're shaking things up with a multiplayer game. FBC Firebreak is a co-op first-person PvE game set in the Control universe. In this game, you'll team up with friends as agents of the Federal Bureau of Control and take on paranormal threats within the bizarre, ever-shifting environments of the oldest house. Using a mix of powerful weaponry and strange abilities, you'll be fighting off horrors from other dimensions while solving puzzles and completing missions. The trailers we've seen show off some surreal design that we really know from Control, like twisting hallways and moving architecture, but with the added chaos of multiplayer co-op where strategy and teamwork are really key. The game is set for release sometime in 2025, and it will be available on Xbox Game Pass from day one. It's the perfect game for fans of Control who want to bring friends along for this wild ride. If you like indie games, then we are getting a charming, snow-coated open world in Winter Burrow. This is touted as a cozy woodland survival game where we will control a tiny mouse which is adventuring through brisk environments as you search for your lost auntie. Winter Burrow merges comfy, cozy game elements with challenging yet approachable survival mechanics. You will of course be able to spend time in your burrow, crafting some pretty cute decorations to make your surroundings feel homely. You'll also be able to knit cozy clothing to stay warm in the cold weather and make sure you're prepared for those big days of foraging in the forests. This again is another Game Pass release on day one and comes out to us very soon. Citizen Sleeper 2 will finally be arriving sometime in early 2025, and publishers Fellow Traveler have announced it is also going to be releasing day one on Xbox Game Pass. Unveiled at the PC Gaming Show during its first proper gameplay trailer, Citizen Sleeper 2 will see you waking up in the body of a brand new sleeper android who really is fighting for survival out on the Starward Belt on the edge of the Hellion system. We've known for quite some while that Citizen Sleeper 2 is going to be a much bigger game than the original, but the most recent trailer gave us a taste of just how large the belt actually is, as it will have its own map screen along with lots of different spaceports and unique locations to visit along the way. Citizen Sleeper really was a hidden indie gem on Xbox Game Pass and is well worth diving into it if you haven't tried it already. Thunderball has officially announced Lost in Random: The Eternal Die, and it is coming day one into Xbox Game Pass sometime next year. If you enjoyed the original, this next chapter is set to take you even deeper into this eerie and whimsical world. You'll explore the Queen of Random's beautifully crafted but twisted realms filled with colourful, bright, bizarre creatures. The gameplay mixes immersive isometric combat with board game inspired dungeons, making every single run a unique experience thanks to random infused mechanics. With its rich story and stunning visuals, this game really promises to deliver an experience as enchanting as it is unpredictable. On more of the tactical front, Rebellion is bringing us Sniper Elite Resistance, a brand new entry into the popular Sniper Elite series, but this time it's not Sniper Elite 6. Instead, this game actually runs parallel to Sniper Elite 5, with players now taking control of a brand new protagonist called Harry Hawker, and he's operating in the heart of occupied France. While Carl Fairburn is off on his own missions, Harry will be making use of the series' iconic gameplay, including stuff like stealth mechanics, long-range sniping, and the infamous X-ray kill cam. Of course, the game will feature a full-size campaign playable in either solo or in co-op, along with the return of invasion mode and adversarial multiplayer. You can expect Sniper Elite Resistance to hit Game Pass day one on the 30th of January 2025. Sleight of Hand got announced a couple of years ago now, and it is coming day one onto Game Pass for console and PC. It was delayed outside of 2024 and is now arriving in 2025. Sleight of Hand will introduce players to a lady called Lady Luck, who is a former detective who's been cast out from her former coven, but is given the opportunity to return to Steeple City and exact her revenge. Players will be able to use Lady Luck's cursed cards to cast smoke-based magic that can help them move throughout stealth throughout Steeple City. You can evaporate into puffs of smoke to evade patrols, take down some goons with lethal cards, and create some stacked combinations that are undeniably incredibly powerful. This studio is actually headed up and run by industry veterans from Metal Gear Solid, Tomb Raider, and God of War fame, so you definitely know this is going to be one of 2025's most anticipated game releases. Compulsion Games' third-person action-adventure game, South of Midnight, immediately caught our eye with its mix of a richly atmospheric setting, its dark folktale elements, and its magical realism inspirations. In South of Midnight, the character called Hazel has to become a weaver, and this is actually someone who can use weaving magic to essentially repair and restore dangerous creatures and broken bonds. From what we know so far from details that have been shared and trailers, that Hazel will actually confront and subdue dangerous creatures, untangle the webs of her own family's shared past, and if she's lucky, find a new place that feels like home. Along with the game's dark folktale atmosphere, another aspect which immediately stands out to you is its very distinctive and slightly juddering stop-motion art style. Honestly, I cannot wait for this unique first-party title, and it is slated for a day one release sometime next year. I think it's quite easy to say at this point that Fable is easily the most anticipated game for Xbox gamers in 2025, and I expect we'll see more into this game in early 2025 with a full release window. With Playground Games, the masters behind the Forza Horizon series, now at the helm, I think many of us will be in for a treat once this game releases. We have seen many short snippets and trailers so far, and they seem to have nailed the Fable tropes we know and love, from the dark humour, the witty British banter, and gorgeous open world we really come to expect from the series. While we've yet to receive any sort of concrete details about the game mechanics, there were some glimpses of what we might be able to see in the latest trailer. We had sword combat, a bit of magic, a bit of side questing, and just so much more, and it looks like Fable through and through. I think this will easily top the charts when it arrives, and it will also launch day one onto Game Pass sometime next year. The new indie game Harmonium The Musical was announced last year, and it looks to champion beautiful and meaningful stories. This upcoming indie game saw the developers, called The Odd Gentleman, work closely with artists and developers from the deaf community in hopes of creating an actual brand new kind of game that is music focused. This game has various characters, some with hearing aids and signing to one another. The story here seems to follow a young girl who is hard of hearing, exploring how to best explore her love for music. Honestly, this looks like such a great game, especially adding to the inclusion of gamers everywhere, and the plus side is it's also coming day one onto Game Pass. We don't actually have a fixed release date for this one at the moment, but I expect we'll see more coverage of this in early 2025. Clair Obscur Expedition 33 is honestly my most anticipated title for next year, and is an upcoming reactive turn-based RPG that will transport you to a beautiful, surrealist new world inspired by France's La Belle Epoque era. As a member of the Expeditioners who are embarking on an impossible quest to end the Paintress's cycle of death, you'll journey through a vast and beautiful fantasy world where you'll battle with many deadly adversaries, befriend some fabled creatures, and discover traces of those who came before you. This game really took people by surprise when it's been shown off the Xbox showcase and many trailers since then, and to be honest, I cannot wait for this brand new release. When it does launch, it will be launching day one onto Xbox Game Pass, and we'll have some previews for you very soon. WUCHANG Fallen Feathers is coming day one onto Game Pass, and to be honest, it's one of the most anticipated games out there for a lot of you Souls-like fans. This Souls-like action RPG immerses players in a dark late Ming dynasty, a period rife with warring factions and a mysterious illness turning humans into monstrous creatures. You will take control of WUCHANG, a pirate warrior struck by amnesia and afflicted by oranthropy, a horrific disease but a source of some immense power. As you explore the depths of Shu, you'll of course enhance your arsenal, master new skills harvested from fallen foes, and evolve your fighting style. This looks like such a great game, and I know we got a deeper look in it at the recent Xbox Partner Preview event, and to be honest, it's well in the top 5 of my most anticipated games for 2025. From the award-winning developers of The Artful Escape comes a new game called Mixtape. We will get to immerse ourselves in a teenage wasteland, playing through a variety of narrative vignettes, exploring the pivotal moments of this game. The story will actually be delivered through a mixtape of comedic, joyful gameplay, from skateboarding and flying to taking photos after hours in an abandoned theme park. This seems very similar to games like What Remains of Edith Finch, and it looks like Mixtape really ties its narrative to a unique vignette-driven structure that really actually emphasizes variety, surprise, and comedy in its gameplay. It will come to the Xbox Series consoles and PC in 2025 with a day one launch onto Xbox Game Pass. One game that has actually launched this year in 2024 but actually only into early access on Steam is Towerborne. It will be coming onto Xbox Game Pass day one sometime in 2025, and from what we've heard so far, the reviews on this game have been utterly outstanding. Towerborne is essentially an action RPG from the makers of the Banner Saga trilogy, and it looks like Stoic Studio really do have a gem on their hands. You will essentially begin by creating your own character, or ace as they like to call them, before diving into the adventure and developing your own playstyle with various skills, gear, and Umbra companions that can fight alongside you. More interestingly enough though, Towerborne will feature an ever-evolving world map and seasonal content, so there'll always be new areas to explore, enemies to defeat, and stories to experience. It looks fantastic from gameplay and previews so far, and it comes day one onto Xbox Game Pass in 2025. I think Xbox surprised us all with the reveal of Clockwork Revolution. This is the last title that I really expected to come out of the creators of the Wasteland franchise, but to be honest, I'm incredibly excited to find out more about this game. It really does bear a striking resemblance to the critically acclaimed BioShock Infinite from a decade ago, with its rail riding, steam-powered mechs and guns, alongside a colourful, old-timey Victorian-era presence. There also seems to be elements of the Dishonored series seemingly present in Clockwork Revolution, as the game can be altered based on your actions. I can easily see why many want this game now, but we currently do have a rough 2025 window, and to be honest, it would be great to see some more footage of this creation coming very, very soon. As a one last surprise at this year's Xbox Game Showcase back in June, we got the huge announcement of Gears of War E-Day. This is the next mainline game in the Gears of War universe, set during the pivotal Emergence Day. This is actually 14 years before Gears of War, and war heroes Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago return home to face a brand new nightmare, the Locust Horde. These subterranean monsters, grotesque and relentless, will erupt from below, laying siege to humanity itself. In this announcement trailer for the series' next major installment, the Coalition teamed up with a studio called Blur Studio and forged a stunning trailer using in-game Unreal Engine 5 assets. I wouldn't be ashamed to say that a tear did come to my eye when seeing Dom again, and it shows that the Xbox we know and love are certainly coming back. I know many, including myself, cannot wait to dive into this game, and we do have a rough window of 2025 to 2026. Replace shocked us all when it was originally shown off now a couple of years ago, with some of the best pixel art direction we've seen in gaming, and everything we've seen for this game since is building even more hype for this stunning game. With its very dark and gritty tone and exceptional looking level design, this was high on every gamer's lists. Replace sort of combines that cinematic platformer with pixel art and free flow combat, and also adding in a deep engaging dystopian story set in an alternative 1980s. The game has had quite a few delays at this point, but I cannot wait to dive headfirst into the mysteries surrounding Phoenix City, and it will arrive day one into Xbox Game Pass. We did unfortunately have a slight delay from the developer outside of 2024, so we can expect a day one release sometime in early 2025. Team 17 and Small Impact Games announced Marauders and released it on PC a little while ago now. It is a first-person multiplayer looter shooter, which will be launching into game preview with PC and Xbox Game Pass sometime in 2025. Set in an early 1990s diesel punk alternate future, Marauders will see players step into the boots of a roving space pirate who will explore and breach hostile spaceships by salvaging valuable loot, including an arsenal of iconic weapons from the last century. And alongside that, they'll have to do battle with other players and AI enemies in some pretty intense multiplayer combats. Players will also be able to play solo or in squads of up to 4 and equip gear and weapons to increase their chances of survival whilst embarking on these daring raids amongst the stars. Should you make it out alive though, you'll be able to use that haul in further matches, putting those resources scavenged towards upgrading their ship, or just selling everything for a tidy profit. I know many have said this game's great on PC, and I cannot wait to see it arrive sometime in 2025 onto Xbox Game Pass. Believe it or not, but this next game was actually announced all the way back in 2012, so you're talking now over 13 years ago, and it honestly just seemed to vanish off the face of the planet. Finally, a couple of years ago, we actually got to see the re-reveal, and wow, Routine did not disappoint us. For anyone unaware, this game is actually a first-person sci-fi horror game, with the game actually being scored by none other than the legendary composer behind the Doom games, Mick Gordon. The short snippet that we've seen actually shows us the player searching through an abandoned lunar base when something goes horribly wrong and exploration turns into survival. The visuals and the atmosphere here are just on another level, and I cannot wait to dive into it sometime in 2025 as a day one Game Pass title. Now, we have to move on to Hollow Knight Silksong, and I know many of you out there will be saying, why am I covering this game, because we don't have a fixed release date, but I expect we will finally see it arrive onto Xbox consoles in 2025. This is the highly anticipated sequel to the critically acclaimed Hollow Knight, and I know we've been waiting so long now for a bit of news. In this game, you'll be able to explore a vast, beautiful world filled with tons of deadly enemies and hidden secrets, and this time you'll play as Hornet, a brand new protagonist with unique abilities and combat skills. The game will feature, of course, that challenging combat we know and love, with intricate platforming and deep lore that expands that Hollow Knight universe. Silksong really promises to be an epic Metroidvania experience that fans will really love, and we cannot wait to delve into the darkness and uncover the mysteries of this enchanting world. Let's talk about Doom: The Dark Ages. This game takes the fast-paced, brutal combat of Doom and drops it into a brand new medieval setting. Of course, you'll have your standard shotguns and plasma rifles, but this time you'll also be wielding swords, axes, and other brutal medieval weapons. Don't worry though, the gameplay is still as fast and furious as we come to expect with the Doom games. Of course, the game will now feature a mix of melee combat and ranged attacks with a focus on chaining together combos and using the environment to your advantage. The enemies will also just be as terrifying as ever, with demonic knights, undead warriors, and other horrors waiting to tear you apart. It is set for a 2025 release, and Doom: The Dark Ages looks like it's going to deliver the same adrenaline-pumping action that fans of the series really love, but this time with a fresh new twist that should appeal to both longtime fans and newcomers alike. Get ready to dive back into the alien ocean because Subnautica 2 is officially happening. The sequel builds on the underwater exploration and survival mechanics of the original gem, but this time you won't have to go at it alone. The big addition here though this time around is co-op gameplay, so you can now explore the deep with your friends as you craft submarines, discover new alien life, and uncover mysteries hidden beneath the ocean's surface. With brand new biomes, new creatures both friendly and terrifying, and enhanced building mechanics, Subnautica 2 really is shaping up to be even bigger and more complex underwater adventure. It is launching into Xbox Game Preview and day one onto Game Pass sometime in 2025, so definitely get your wetsuits ready. Avowed from Obsidian is another RPG that's got everyone talking this year. Set in the Pillars of Eternity universe, Avowed really promises to deliver a rich, immersive experience that blends the deep lore of a classic RPG, but with the intense first-person combat of a modern action game. The combat really does look like an amped-up version of Skyrim, with more intensity and incredible depth. You'll of course be casting tons of powerful spells, swinging some massive swords, and battling all manner of creatures in a world that's as dangerous as it is beautiful. The game will also feature a dynamic world that actually reacts to your choices, with multiple factions and a branching storyline that promises to keep you engaged. With a release planned for February next year, Avowed is definitely one to watch when it comes to Xbox Game Pass. One game that I'm still very skeptical about is the upcoming open world dinosaur game, Ark 2. You will play the role of the man himself, Vin Diesel, known as the hero Santiago, and experience an epoch-spanning adventure as he seeks to protect his daughter Mika. It is set in an impressive and massive chaotic world that is overrun by invasive primeval creatures. From what we're hearing so far about this game, it sounds like a huge improvement to the first entry, and it's just insane to think how big this leap could actually be. I might have honestly chuckled at the thought of Vin Diesel in a video game again, but I'll certainly give this game a go when it launches onto Xbox Game Pass. Survival game lovers, you will be in for a treat with Voidtrain, and it's arriving onto Xbox Game Pass very early into 2025. In this unique survival game, you'll take on the role of an engineer guiding a steam-powered train through a mysterious void in time and space. As you progress, you'll expand your train, gather resources, and fend off threats in a bizarre, ever-changing world. With its combination of exploration, crafting, and survival elements, Voidtrain really does offer a one-of-a-kind experience that's sure to keep you hooked. It has honestly been building such a solid fanbase during its early access over on PC, and now it's ready to hit Xbox Game Pass with full force in 2025. This next game is a sequel, and the initial game has been on Game Pass for quite some while now, and is synonymous with the achievement hunting community. With a stunning art style and a jazzy, addictive soundtrack, Genesis Noir really stole our hearts when it launched back in 2021. Nirvana Noir adds colour this time around to the beautifully expanding Noir universe, and even more jazzy tunes for us to enjoy. There'll be a lot of tactile interactions, generative art, simple puzzles, and musical toys that were featured in Genesis Noir, but this time around there seems to be a much richer plot, larger environments to explore, and dialogue interactions. It will come to Game Pass day one sometime in 2025, and I cannot wait to experience this new entry. Manor actually arrived earlier this year into PC Game Pass, and it was a massive hit upon its release, and this time we're seeing it come to Xbox Game Pass sometime in 2025. Manor is actually a medieval strategy game featuring in-depth city building, large-scale tactical battles, and complex economic and social simulations. Amazingly, it is the brainchild of just a single developer. Back in late 2023, it was mentioned that an Xbox version would be coming shortly after launch, so I have to expect we'll see it sometime in the first quarter of 2025. Nevertheless, it has been reiterated on many occasions that the Xbox version is a key focus for this team, and although it sounds like an Xbox exclusive when that happens, there might be plans for other consoles as well. I cannot wait for you all to experience this game, as I had a blast with it when in my short stint on it with PC. Now, let's talk about something more dark and gritty. Vaporworld Over the Mind is coming to Xbox Game Pass, and if you're a fan of Souls-like games, you need to keep your eye on this one on your radar. It's a 2.5D side-scrolling ARPG that's really heavily inspired by Sekiro's parrying mechanics and the dark atmospheric vibes of games like Bloodborne. The game was actually originally funded through a Kickstarter campaign, and it's smashed through every single milestone set, which means the devs are able to bring their ambitious ideas to life in this gem. The combat is very fast-paced and unforgiving for what we've seen so far, and the world is dripping with dark, moody atmosphere. If you love challenging combat and exploring twisted, dangerous worlds, Vaporworld is going to be right up your alley sometime in 2025. Next up, we have Atomfall. Set in the rolling British countryside of idyllic pubs, quaint villages, and red phone boxes, it soon becomes clear that things are far from normal. Created by Rebellion, the makers of the much-loved Sniper Elite and Zombie Army franchises, Atomfall is actually inspired by a real-world nuclear disaster that actually happened in northern England in 1957. The game will follow a fictional story though, where you'll find yourself in the quarantine zone 5 years after this event. This is a single-player survival action game through and through, and Atomfall looks to blend post-war Britain with Cold War paranoia, and also includes some folk horror and elements of a British sci-fi to create a really immersive and thrilling gameplay experience. It will arrive day one onto Xbox Game Pass in March of 2025. Data Decay 3 has shown up in a massive way this year, and the trailer we got really amplified why Xbox gamers need to get excited for this brand new release. We received a glimpse of the gameplay, and my word, is this a massive upgrade on the second entry. With a more dark and gritty feel, you'll be able to explore this haunting world with up to 4 friends, and it promises to be the biggest world in Undead Labs history. Fans of the series might pick up nods to some franchise staples though in this new trailer, from brutal combat, cooperatively battling down threats to the survival group, permadeath, and opening a car door on a zombie while speeding down the road. Unfortunately, we still don't have a fixed release date for this new entry, but it will be coming to Xbox Game Pass day one with a rumoured window of 2025. Alright sports fans, this next one is for you. Football Manager 25 is coming to Xbox Game Pass, and it was delayed slightly from November and is now coming out in March of 2025. Now, if you've played any of the previous Football Manager games, you already know what you're getting into. It is one of the most detailed and realistic football management sims on the market, where you'll manage everything from tactics on the pitch, to scouting, transfers, and even keeping your players happy and motivated. If you've never played it before, Football Manager 25 is shaping up to be one of the best ones yet, with even more features and improvements. So, whether you're a seasoned manager or just new to the series, this game will consume your life. Thunder Lotus Games actually delayed the early access launch of cooperative roguelike action game 33 Immortals. It was previously planned for a 2024 Game Pass release date, but it's now been moved to 2025. It will be available across the Xbox Series consoles and PC day one, so you need to check it out if you haven't done so already. The game will need a little bit more time before it's ready though, and the developers have said they're making progress, but they want to iron out a few unexpected challenges with stability and address some valuable feedback they received from the alpha stage. Personally, I managed to get my hands on this game during the alpha and the beta stages, and I cannot wait for you all to experience this new indie gem when it arrives in 2025. Eternal Strands is really shaping up to be a truly innovative action RPG. It's developed by a team with experience on Dragon Age, Assassin's Creed, and other massive RPG franchises, and this game actually blends classic fantasy elements with a unique spellcasting system. You'll be able to combine spells to create effects tailored to specific situations. So, for example, you might be able to freeze a dragon's wing mid-flight, causing it to plummet from the sky. That's just one of many ways you can get creative in combat in this game, and the world is sprawling, packed with titanic climbable bosses, reminiscent of games like Shadow of the Colossus. On top of that, there is also a robust crafting system where you'll be able to customize your gear, mixing and matching materials to create weapons with special properties, and so much more. What makes it even more exciting though is this game is coming day one onto Game Pass, and we'll be able to dive into this magical and dangerous world in early 2025. If you're more into chill exploration games, then Wheelworld is one to watch. In this bike and adventure game, you'll ride through serene and vibrant open world environments with an emphasis on exploration and discovery. Originally known as Ghost Bike in the past, this game lets you hop on different bikes with unique abilities, solving puzzles, and even compete in time trials or races if you're looking for a challenge. It's really got sort of like a zen-like vibe, but there's still plenty to do, like finding and restoring ancient ghost bikes or just competing in leaderboard challenges. Wheelworld strikes a perfect balance between relaxation and excitement, making it a great game to pick up when you need a break from more intense experiences. This game, of course, is expected to launch in early 2025 and day one onto Xbox Game Pass. Now, get ready for some tough choices because Frostpunk 2 is coming to Xbox Game Pass for consoles sometime in 2024. Of course, if you've played the first one, you'll know how brutal this city building game can actually be. This time, the game is actually set in a frozen post-apocalyptic world, and you'll have to make hard decisions to ensure the survival of your people. Frostpunk 2 really expanded on the original with so many deeper politics, new technologies, and even more intense focus on resource management. There was also a brand new social dynamic system, also meaning that your choices have a bigger impact on the people within your city. It's had some rave reviews so far, and it's definitely a standout survival title coming to Game Pass in 2025. In case you missed it a bit earlier this year, No More Robots premiered a brand new trailer, showing us what's coming up for Descenders over the next year. Instead of a DLC, which many of us were potentially expecting, we actually got an announcement of a brand new game. When Descenders next launches, it will begin life with a focus on boarding sports. Players will be able to learn and conquer the snowy caps through tight, effortless snowboarding action before taking to the highlands with the grittier feel of mountain boarding. Every single sport will feel and handle completely differently to the others, meaning players will have to learn to tackle and master every nook and cranny of next. The devs have also promised more sports being added for free on a constant basis, so this game is looking to challenge others in the same space like Riders Republic. I cannot wait for this release, and it will come in the first half of 2025. Last but certainly not least, out of all the games that have been announced for 2025 is The Alters, a psychological survival game that explores the concept of identity in a fascinating way. You'll be stranded on an alien planet, and your character can create what's called alters, which are alternative versions of themselves based on different life choices. These alters will help you survive by bringing different skills and perspectives to the table. But there is a catch. The more you rely on these alters, the more psychological strain it puts on your very own character. You'll have to obviously balance using these alters whilst keeping your mental health in check. If you're into more thought-provoking games that challenge you and reflect on who you are and how you play as, The Alters is definitely going to be one of the most unique survival experiences of 2025. So that wraps up all the games that have currently been announced to be coming day one onto Xbox Game Pass sometime in 2025. You'll have to let me know in the comments below which game you're most excited about next year. Remember to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe for more Xbox news, reviews and content every single day. Whilst here, why don't you check out our most recent video covering the 20 best split screen and local co-op games that you can play right now on Game Pass in 2024.